It is Mother's Day, so we're going to start off with a few universal mom-isms. Mom-isms and mom sayings. So I'm going to start the phrase, and we'll see how many of you know to fill in the rest of it. So to begin, who do you think you are? Okay, you understand this. Look at me when I'm talking to you. Don't roll your eyes. You're really good at this. You all had a mom that was the same mom. I'm going to give you to the count of 3. That was mine. Don't put that thing in your mouth, you don't. My favorite. Wear clean underwear in case you and have to go to the hospital. Don't cross your eyes like that. One day they'll stay that way. They'll freeze. Why? Because I said so. That's why. Okay, and of course we've all heard thee. If such and so jumped off a cliff, would you? Yeah, would you jump too, right? And of course, wait till your father gets home. And none of you have heard this, but if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. I didn't know we all had the same mom, but obviously we are family and we had the same mom. Isn't that amazing that we have different moms and we're from different things and that we all know these universal life mom sayings? Isn't that? There you go. I've trained you well. So, there are mothers who are our actual birth mothers, and yet there's another part of mothers, and it is the non-mothers. So I'm going to share with you this salute to the non-mothers, and this was written by Irma Bombeck. Who knows of Irma Bombeck? Most of you have that name, right? So she writes, let's hear it for the non-mothers. There aren't any songs sung about them. There aren't any appropriate cards written for them. There aren't any days set aside for the non-mothers. They just exist. These are the people that experience all the joy, the caring, and the pain of motherhood. They just aren't there at delivery. Some mothers, non-mothers, are disguised as teachers who spend more time with the children than their mothers do. They contribute ambition, hope, expertise, time, and a sense of self to the child. After all, isn't that what a mother is all about? Other non-mothers are older brothers and sisters of a child who share a bedroom, pizza, their clothes, and even more. They take them to the bathroom, the movies on Sunday, and even hold them when they might have a parent who is not present for them. Isn't that what a mother is all about? Perhaps it's the father non-mother who pinch hits occasionally, or maybe even more, at getting meals, mopping up, or sitting through a pageant when the mother can't be there. He offers a backup system of support, sharing, and security. After all, isn't that what a mother's all about? Some non-mothers have experience. They're called grandparents. And whether their custody of a child is occasional, part-time, or full-time, they add to the child another dimension of another time, another set of values, and appreciation for the things that endure. After all, isn't that what a mother's all about? There are non-mothers who touch a child's life in a million ways and who at first glance don't seem to fit the role. It might be an angry motorist who a child has never seen, who yells at him to get his tricycle out of the street. a guidance counselor who will tell him to get off his behind and get to work. A shop owner will chew him out for lifting a piece of candy. At a moment when he needed it, he was picked up and pointed in the right direction by someone who took the time to care about him. After all, isn't that what a mother is all about? So, we're here to honor, to celebrate Mother's Day. To all those that actually gave the physical birth, we all have one. There isn't anyone that it doesn't have a mother who gave physical birth. And yet, how many of you have had other people that filled those non-mother roles? I would imagine all of us have had someone that had that influence upon us. And so we want to include them because, and we all have, how many of you are actual mothers who have given physical birth? Okay. Thank you for your service. Sounded somewhat appropriate. And yet, how many of you have ever created something in your life? Okay, we all are creators. We have within us what is called that feminine principle. And one of the Jewish proverbs I love is that God couldn't be everywhere. So, he created mothers, right? Think about it. So there is something that beyond the mothers that we're speaking of, and it is the divine feminine. I don't know about you, but in the Western culture, it's very patriotic. And, you know, God is often referred to as he or our father. Not too much about our mother. Yogananda, you know, yeah, that person, always said the Divine Mother. So the Eastern cultures tend to see the Spirit of God as that which is the feminine. I remember the first time I heard someone referred to God as she, and I was so excited, you know, right? That divine feminine, I think, is something that is missing and that we have become out of touch with it. In our Western culture, we emphasize what you know and what you think and what your knowledge is and what your actions are. And there is a dismissal of your feelings. Don't be so emotional, right? Don't be so emotional. And nothing about being. It's about doing and thinking and knowing. And that's the masculine. But where's the beingness? Okay? So we're looking at the difference between, and by the way, God is not a person. God is personified by each and every one of us. In Unity Teachings, we teach the personification. What God really is, it is a principle. It is an unchanging principle. And it has two aspects to it. It has the masculine principle and the feminine principle. Because the only thing that we can do in creation to create anything is when the masculine joins with the feminine. I'm going to break this down a little bit more for how it makes sense. So we all have within us, despite whatever our gender is, I have masculine energy. I have feminine energy. And I did a course called Sex, Passion, and Enlightenment. And there was they put up a piece of paper and they said, what are the traits of the masculine? And they were listing them. And then they had the other sheet, and they had the women on one side. Yeah, men on one side, women on the other side. And all the traits of the feminine. And as they were going through this, it was very interesting to see those differences. The male and the masculine it's about knowing. Colors. By the way, colors would always be red, blue, all the primary colors. Feminine was all about the others. Masculine is about focus. Feminine is about flow. The masculine is the rational and the logical. The feminine is the irrational. It is the intuitive. The masculine is the head. The feminine is the heart. What we don't know, and one of the things I learned with this teacher, was that the masculine is actually here to serve the feminine. That the head is here to serve the heart, the feminine. Now, in the story of creation, basically, the masculine is an idea or a seed, a thought, that is then planted, released into the consciousness of the heart, to the womb of consciousness, where when we believe that thought to be true, that is when you have creation, you have something new. So it is the seed planted in consciousness with belief. It's like it starts here, it goes here, and when you accept it as so, then that so-ness comes into being. It is the principle of all creation. Everything that we have starts with a thought, but it has to be believed in the heart, which means the added feeling of accepting that that is so. That is how creation works. So the divine feminine, I think, we need to return to the divine feminine. Personally, I think that's what is wrong with the world. We're out of balance. I have a book that I highly recommend. It is from my first New Thought teacher, the Reverend Mary Murray Shelton, and it's called Guidance from the Darkness, the Transforming Power of the Divine Feminine in Difficult Times. Mary is a great teacher, speaker, and she talks about the divine feminine and how it's the mystery. You know, the masculine is always about the knowing. The feminine is about trusting and allowing and accepting and letting it be and just being in the flow. But we need both. We need the focus, and then we need to let it go so that the feminine can be the energy of the creation. You need the right brain and the left brain to come together. So she talks about, in her book, she talks about stages of change. It's all about change, and change is a process. And that's what transformation is and why she uses that word. So the divine feminine refers, she says, to the innate wisdom within us. We have innate wisdom. We just haven't been trained, taught how to access it. That's God calling. Ask her what she needs or what she'd like us to know. She said, let it go. She said, let it be. So it is the feminine aspect of the presence of spirit that guides us. We need to tap in and tune in to that K-Love channel. So she talks about this feminine energy. And by the way, I'm going to get into F words today, so be prepared. See how, so, you know, you start with the feminine, there's the F, and you'll get to go, oh, there's another F. So they're like, what is she going to say? What F words? Right? So I'm going to focus because emotion and feelings is the realm of the feminine. Okay? It's the feelings. And in our world, I know I was told, don't feel too angry, don't cry, or I'll give you, something to cry about. You've all heard that. Don't be too happy, don't be too sad, don't be too mad, don't be. Okay? So we wonder why we have disease in the world, because I'm not to express my feelings. The feelings are like, stay away from your feelings. It's not okay. And that's why we get disease, because feelings are the energy, and energy in emotion is energy in motion. So we were created as emotional beings. We have feelings. And feelings is the gift that Spirit gives to us that is our barometer. We have an internal barometer called our feelings. And our feelings are what inform us as to when we are on or when we're off. Something is off when I'm in a low vibration. When I'm sad, when I'm mad, when I'm grieving, when I'm ashamed, when I'm angry. What did you find? Yeah, this is all scripted. And it was scripted by the Divine Feminine, of course. See, I have to let go and be out of Spirit's way. The more I listen and allow and trust, the better life is. Because the masculine is like, oh no, that shouldn't be. That should be like this. It's all the shoulding, and I'm not into the shoulding. And neither is Spirit. So it's about those feelings. And the feeling I want to focus on, oh, there's an F, focus. The focus feeling that I'm going to speak to you about today is fear. Fear. Because in truth, there is only two emotions. Did you know that? Seems like there's more. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross writes, there are only two emotions, love and fear. All positive emotions come from love, and all negative emotions come from fear. From love flows happiness, contentment, peace, and joy. From fear comes hate and anger and guilt and anxiety. It's true that there are only two primary emotions, love and fear. But it's more accurate to say that there is only love or fear because we can't feel these two emotions at the same time. They're opposites. When we're in fear, we're not in a place of love. And I like the words of love is trust. Okay, for me, love and trust are the same thing because when I'm in love, I'm having the lovingness. To me, the word trust, when I'm in fear, I don't trust. Okay? So when we're in a place of love, we can't be in a place of fear. And Neil Donald Walsh also says the same thing. He says, every human thought or word is based on love or fear. Fear is the energy which contracts, closes down, draws in, hoards, and harms. Love is the energy that expands, opens up, reveals, sends out, shares, and heals. You have the free choice about which of these to select. So fear, in our world, it's seen more like a foe, like F-O-E, right? F word, right? So there's stay away from fear because we're afraid of the fear and we don't want to go there. However, when you're in fear, there's 3 F's that you tend to do, okay? There's the I flee when I'm afraid, okay? I run away, so I flee. Or maybe I fight, okay? I'm afraid, and I'm going to fight whatever it is that I'm fearful of. Then there's the deer in the headlights. You freeze. So often the reaction is that we flee, we fight, or freeze. And these are human reactions because fear is actually a gift. It is our friend, not our foe. Fear is actually a gift, our friend, because it's informing us. It is giving us a message. It may be that there is true danger and I need to flee. But sometimes we have fears that don't necessarily are things that we believe that may not be true. It's always good to check in and go, what is this fear trying to tell me? And really get beyond the appearance of why am I so afraid? What's behind that fear? So fear is also known, it's fear. What is it? Not face everything. It's written down. No, that's the one you all know. False evidence, fearing real. The other one is, what is it? Well, that's where you write it down. And then you'll be able to find it. Maybe. Fear. What? Oh, that could be it, but that's not quite it. Try again. It's in here. Trust me. Oh, I got the freeze, flight, and free. Okay. Oh. Forget everything and run. It was important to know that. So, forget everything and run. That's one acronym for fear. There's plenty of them. So, there is another option. Would you like to know what it is? Okay, good. It's another F. This time, we don't fear, we don't flee, we don't fight, and we don't freeze. We face our fears. We face our fears. I don't want to do that. Well, you know what? It's where the transformation can happen. And Mary Murray Shelton, I love, love, love her. She speaks of this facing our fears. And she said, the divine feminine, that aspect of ourselves that always moves towards balance, brings fear to our awareness so that we may realize that we are facing a feeling of limitation. We don't know what to do about the fear. We need guidance. And she's talking about guidance, the divine feminine that is guiding us. And we need this guidance and information in order to respond appropriately to the fear. When we see fear as a messenger meant to stimulate a new response, we become more resilient. And that word resilient, you'll get to learn more about if you come to the service and the workshop next week, which Joan Borzhenko will be doing. We become more resilient and innovative in seeking that response. But when we deny and avoid fear, it becomes an enemy, pursuing us relentlessly and becoming larger and larger until we face it and find out its message. So, in order to find that message, she talks about 8 different ways of being. And these are wonderful chapters. And I'm going to give you 2, and they don't necessarily be with the F, but how do you face your fear? The 2 words are intention and choice. Intention is when you say, I am willing to face the fear, the thing that I'm dreading, the thing that I don't want to be a part of, but I'm willing to face it and see what the message is. With that intention, instead of going, that's scary, I'm not going there, be open to facing it and seeing if there is a gift in that. It's a message from the divine. And what am I supposed to do with it? So setting the intention to face the fear and to listen and find the message. There's an F for you. Find the message that it's trying to convey to you. And then how you might be able to shift. And that goes into the next word, which is choice. Because we always have a choice. Our greatest power isn't love, it's choice. It's choice. We always are at choice. We can choose what we think. We can choose a new thought. I can choose a different anything. Any moment, I can say, no, that doesn't work for me. That thought's not working. I'm going to make a different choice. And be willing to step out. Because another part of the definition of fear is, when I've come to the edge of all I've known, okay, that's when I get afraid. Because I know what I know, and I'm not afraid, but I'm afraid of what I don't know. And that's where the excitement is, when we can step into the unknown and trust the mystery and trust the divine that is there supporting you. It never leaves us, but we don't have that consciousness, or we're working on building that consciousness. So I'm going to close with a story. And this is demonstrating facing your fear, intention, and choice. It's called Under Her Wings. An article in the National Geographic several years ago provided a penetrating picture of God's wings. After a forest fire in Yellowstone National Park, forest rangers began their trek up a mountain to assess the infernal's damage. One ranger found a bird, literally petrified in the ashes, perched statuesquely on the ground at the base of a tree. Somewhat sickened by the eerie sight, he knocked the bird over with a stick. When he struck it, 3 little chicks scurried from underneath their dead mother's wings. The loving mother, keenly aware of impending disaster, had carried her offspring to the base of a tree and had covered them under her wings, keenly aware that the toxic smoke would rise. Now, she could have flown away to safety, but she refused to abandon her babies. When the blaze had arrived and the heat had scorched her small body, the mother had remained steadfast. Because she was willing to die, those that under the cover of her wings would live. That is an example of the divine feminine, that those wings of love are with us all the time, and that we are also the wings of this divine love. That mother had a intention, faced the fear of death, one of the greatest fears, had the intention that I'm going to save my babies so they can live, and made the choice in the face of fear and sure death to keep them alive. If that's not a mother's love, I don't know what is. And I want you to know that each one of us not only has wings of love surrounding and holding us as the divine feminine, but the divine feminine is you. You are the wings. You are here to hold space and love for others and for yourself. The divine feminine is you. The divine feminine is me. The divine feminine is the wind beneath our wings. And so it is.